Can you retire on $1 million? That's what we're going to talk about today on the Your Financial EKG YouTube channel. We're going to look at different strategies and ask the question, is $1 million enough to retire on? Hey, my name is Drew Blackston. I'm a certified retirement counselor, investment advisor representative, and I'm your virtual financial advisor, helping you get to retirement, helping you get through retirement, and protecting your ability to stay in retirement. We're talking about retiring on $1 million. Now, first of all, what do you need to consider if you're going to retire on $1 million? Well, the first thing you want to think about is what age are you going to retire? Are you going to retire at 55? Are you going to do an early retirement at 50? Are you going to retire at 60? Retire at 65? What age are you going to retire? And I'm going to do some strategies on the board, so hang on to the middle of this video, and I'm going to show you why age and Social Security are two huge factors you need to consider if you're thinking about retiring with $1 million. Now, that leads me into the second consideration if you're wanting to retire on $1 million. When are you going to take Social Security? Are you going to take Social Security at 62? Are you going to take Social Security at 67? Or are you going to take Social Security at 70? Or are you going to take Social Security somewhere in between? Remember, if you take Social Security at 62, you only get 70% of your full retirement benefit. If you take Social Security at 67, you get 100% of your full retirement benefit. And at 70, you become an overachiever, a broccoli eater. You get 124% of your full retirement benefit. Now, anytime in between there, you can take Social Security at 63, 64, 65, 66, 67, 68, 69, 70. Anytime in between there. So it's very important for you to have a Social Security plan, especially if you're going to retire with $1 million. And depending on what age you're going to retire. Think about it. If you retire at 55 and you're going to take Social Security at 65, that's 10 years of retirement income that will be withdrawn from your retirement investing accounts. How is that going to affect your retirement income plan? Now, the third consideration you want to think about retiring on $1 million is how much are your expenses? How much income are you going to need in retirement? There's a couple easy ways to figure out how much money you'll need in retirement. The first is just to have a budget. Just really understand what you're spending, what's coming in, what's going out, how you're spending your money now will really transition to how you spend money in retirement. A good rule of thumb to use is the replacement ratio. The replacement ratio for retirement income says take 80% of what you're currently spending, and that's how much you're going to need in retirement. Now, new data suggests that that number is really about 60%. So take your income and multiply that by 60% or 80%, and that's about what you're going to need in retirement. So for example, if right now you need $100,000 or $100,000 is what you're spending right now, you're going to need somewhere between $60,000 and $80,000 in retirement. That's just easy math for my head. You probably won't need $100,000. So you want to think about what age you're going to retire. You want to think about Social Security. You want to think about your expenses. And you also want to think about working longer. Now, maybe not at your current career. Maybe not doing a 40, 50-hour week, busting your butt, working Monday through Friday for the man. But maybe you retire early at 50 or you retire early at 55 and you think about picking up a part-time job. You do something that you enjoy. Maybe you have a special skill with numbers and you can do some accounting for a small firm, or maybe you have a special skill in something I don't even know of and you can do something part-time to bring in some extra income to help close the gap on how much money has to come out of your retirement investments and has to go out to your expenses. So that's really what you want to think about. So we're going to do some strategies on the board right now. Can I retire on $1 million? All right, can I retire with $1 million? We're going to look at 4 different scenarios. The first is retiring at 55 with $1 million. And we've got to take a couple assumptions if we're doing these strategies. The first assumption is we're going to use $55,000 as our annual expenses. Now, the average annual income in America today has actually gone up. It's about $65,000. So we're going to back off about $10,000 of that to say our average annual expenses are $55,000. We're going to retire at 55. We're going to claim Social Security at 67 and at 62. We're going to see how that affects our retirement income strategy and our $1 million that's in our retirement investments. So let's look at this, and then we're going to do 2 more strategies right after this. So the first, claiming Social Security at 67. Remember, we've got $1 million in retirement savings. So we're 55 years old. Our annual expenses are $55,000 a year, which comes to $4,583 a month. Now, we've got to do this for 12 years. So we've got to take that $4,500 out of our retirement investments for 12 years. Now, keep in mind, there could be sequence of return risk. There could be recessions, and there could be bull markets. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a geometric return of 6%. When we're doing calculations, when we're doing projections, especially on the board, this is just the base case, we're going to use a geometric return, which basically means it's going to be 6% every year. Now, the stock market has averaged about 10% since 1950. It's 8% with inflation. And since early 1900s, it's averaged around 6.5% with inflation. So we can say 6.5% to 8% is a good projection for this retirement strategy. Now, we're going to use 3% as our inflation rate. And remember, we're going to take Social Security at 67 of $2,800. So between ages of 55 and 67, our $1 million earning 6%, but withdrawing $4,500 a month goes from $1 million in retirement savings down to $711,000 in retirement savings. At 67, we kick on Social Security of $2,800, and then we're able to kind of minimize our expenses a little bit, or our distribution coming out of our retirement investments. But essentially, using the calculator and software, we're out of money at 81. So if we retire at 55 with $1 million and $55,000 in annual expenses, we're out of money at 81 years old. All right, so now we think about, what if we claim Social Security at 62? What if we take some pressure off of our withdrawal that's coming out of our retirement investments? By claiming Social Security earlier, now we've got a pension check coming in, basically, and we're able to say, okay, we don't need as much coming out of our retirement investments because we've claimed Social Security earlier. So we've got $1 million in retirement savings. All the other components are still the same. 6% rate of return, 3% inflation rate, $4,500 is coming out. So between 55 and 62, we're taking out $4,500 a month. Our $1 million goes to $901,575. Because remember, there's not as much time that we're pulling out that $4,500. So at 62, we've got $901,000, and we start taking Social Security of $1,960. Remember, Social Security at full retirement age is $2,800, but 70% of $2,800 is $1,960. So if you claim Social Security early, you have to remember you're going to get less of a check. So it's kind of this checks and balances. Do I take less of a check to let my retirement investments continue to grow, or do I delay Social Security using my retirement investment accounts as income so I get a bigger pension check? And there's a lot of different factors that go into that. Make sure you contact me to do a Social Security maximization schedule for you. But whether you're single, whether you're married, what are the ages of the spouses, how much you have in retirement assets, there's a lot of different factors that go into this. So we take Social Security at 62, by age 82, we're out of money. So essentially, claiming Social Security at 62, we get one extra year of retirement income. So there's not a huge difference. So when I do this as a financial advisor, when I look at this and I see that there's not a big difference in the claiming strategies, then I start thinking about some of the other things that we can adjust. One, can we work longer? And two, can we lower our expenses? All right, we've already looked at claiming Social Security at 62 and 67, and both of those strategies, our money, our retirement income runs out in our early 80s. So we need to adjust two factors. The first factor we're going to look at is working longer, so continuing to work, continuing to contribute to our 401k and get a match. And then the second factor is we're going to do a deep dive into the budget of our retirement income, and we're going to ask ourselves, can we lower our retirement expenses so we can retire at 55 or retire early? So let's look at the first scenario. This is working longer. So we're going to work to age 60. We're going to continue to invest in our 401k, and we're going to continue to get the match. So we had $1 million in retirement savings at 55. Now at 60, we've got $1,389,000. Remember, this is a $65,000 average salary. So it's just compound interest at its best. Now at 60, our monthly expenses are $5,447. Remember, at 55, they were $4,583. Now there's inflation. So at 60, our expenses are $5,447. We're going to take Social Security at 67 at $2,800. 6% is our rate of return on the money in the market, and 3% is our inflation rate on our monthly expenses. So at 67, 7 years of a distribution coming out of our retirement investment accounts, we'd have $1,444,000, and then we'd kick on Social Security. Keep in mind that $2,800 at 67, it does have a COLA increase on it once we kick that in. From $1,444,000 with our monthly expenses, we're out of retirement income at 99. It's a pretty good scenario. 99 years old, we're out of money. I'll take that when we're doing retirement planning. Now, the second strategy, we've got $1 million. We want to retire at 55. We don't want to work that 5 extra years. What can we do? Well, we can lower our expenses. So in the first two strategies, our expenses were $4,583. What if we took $6,000 annually off the table? So we lowered our monthly expenses to $4,000 from $4,583. So all the components are still the same. Retiring at 55, 6% rate of return, 3% inflation, claiming Social Security at 67. From $1 million, when we start claiming Social Security, we'd have $913,000. So 12 years, we go down about, what's that, $80,000-ish, and we're out of money at 91. That's actually a really good scenario. We've now made it to our early 90s. And keep in mind that your spending in retirement is going to decrease automatically over time. It's kind of like an upside down bell curve when you get into retirement. You spend more as you go into it, right? And then as you're kind of in there, it decreases. But how it works is when you get to your late 80s, early 90s, it starts to increase a little bit because of medical expenses. But in these scenarios, I feel really good getting us into our 90s. So I hope this has helped. Can I retire with $1 million? God bless. Bye-bye.